My name is Candace Lishman. I'm 57 years old and I'm from Manaway, Utah. The most beautiful thing to me is my grandchildren and just watching them interact and grow and learn things and how excited they get when they show me something. I also love lilac trees. That's beautiful to me because it reminds me of my childhood, and anytime I see lilac trees I have to go smell them. That's my most favorite smell in the whole world. My biggest lifelong struggle has been my weight. We won't say any more about that. Recently, my biggest struggle was when I shattered my leg last year and realizing I couldn't do things for myself and having to accept help from other people. I couldn't get my shoes on. I couldn't bathe. I couldn't get up and get myself a drink. And that was hard for me. That was humbling to me. Probably the most growth was when I went to Bosnia. I went to a class and heard a woman speak about helping in a third world country, and it just inspired me to want to do something. So I tried to find something that I could do that would feel that way, and I was getting dead ends. So I finally contacted her, and she was actually from England, and she told me that she was going to Bosnia again and invited me to go with. And so I spent a summer collecting medical supplies and stuff and figuring out how to get them over to England, and then we loaded them in trucks and drove across Europe to Bosnia. And I think the reason I say it was that I grew from that is I think that it really opened my eyes to how spoiled we are. And just how much we have. I never worry about where my food's coming from or my clothes. And it just made me realize that where we're given so much, it's probably expected that we give and help. But also I realized that I didn't have to go across the country, that I could look in my own backyard and find somebody that needed help. I'm going to take credit for having strong adult children. I think that's a triumph that I can watch my children handle life. Not always perfectly, but I think they're strong enough to stand up for themselves, to pick themselves up if they get knocked down. So I feel like that's a triumph. I feel like I was able to instill in them how to handle life. Another triumph is probably I did a 50-mile bike ride that I never dreamed I could do, and then I've done 3 more since then. And so even being my overweight struggle my whole life, I feel like that was a true triumph that I actually dared do it, and then I actually finished it. I think the world needs to hear that if we just loved each other, like truly loved each other, we wouldn't have problems. And I don't mean that we wouldn't have death or we wouldn't have hunger or we wouldn't have homelessness, but I think if we truly loved each other, when we saw someone hungry, we would feed them. If we saw someone homeless, we would give them a place to sleep. And it's such a simple answer, but it's almost impossible to do, I think. I think that if everybody put forth the effort to at least try to love and understand each other, that we would go a lot further.